Good morning. I am going to do a video that I've not really done for a while, or a type of video that I've not done for a while, and that's a habits video. I did just talk about this in my Q&A video where I said a couple of years ago I stopped making these types of videos because they just weren't really aligning with where I was at. But I have tried very hard in the last year to sort of shift around and try different habits and routines and figure out what type of life I want to lead and what I need to do in order to lead that life. And it's been really interesting. These 5 habits, I've probably noticed the biggest difference in the last couple of months, although most of them I did start last year. I'm calling last year the experimental phase, and then this year has been like, that's it, we're really implementing it and really running with it. And it's interesting. I want to say it's changed my life. I know that's a very intense and dramatic statement. Another reason why I kind of stopped making these videos, because I felt like these constant let's change my life videos weren't really that truthful, because how much was my life really changing, you know? Whereas I don't want to throw that term around too loosely, but I do think that some of these things have really changed my life, changed how I live, and I am so much more happier, content, feeling more fulfilled as a result. And I'm not trying to say that these are the magical things that will fix everything. If you want to know more about the anxiety and like that deeper level stuff, I would recommend watching my last Q&A video. I'll leave that link down below because I touch more on that. But these are just the things that I do sort of day to day that just make me so much more happier and content, and are just aligning with like who I am now. I am starting to wonder if I'm going to actually finish this coffee that I just made, because I will probably start chatting and I won't shut up, and then my coffee will go cold. So I'm gonna try and take breaks to finish my coffee. I hope you get some sort of hot beverage, tea, coffee, something, and enjoy this ride, because I feel like I might be here again talking for a little while. I can just start to ramble when it comes to some of these things. Clearly, we're off to a great start. Okay, so first one is being less social. Not antisocial, but just less social. And as I've thought about this, I actually am not really too sure whether it's about being social or whether it's the part of socializing that is associated with alcohol. We may come to that conclusion after I talk about this little part of the video. So, if you're someone who's not very social, this may not really be that of interest to you, but stick around because I did save the best one for last, or at least I think it's the best one. I'm still playing around with it, but I do think it's probably the most useful one that I've come across in the last few months to a year. Anyway, so when I think about where I was a year ago and the type of life that I was living a year ago, I was much more social than I am now. Every week was let's go to a restaurant, let's drink cocktails, and then drink and drink and drink, and then end up hungover. And it wasn't necessarily every single weekend that I was going out and doing that, but it was most weekends. And it's easy to get carried away, especially when you're with friends, to just keep drinking and then you end up hungover. And around the middle of last year, I just didn't want to do it anymore. I think I talked a lot in my last video about just this pivotal point about a year ago. It was like April, and it was like a switch flicked, and I was like, all right, we're going on a different path now. Life is different, and it's been good. It has been good. And I just decided that I didn't want to be so social. I love my alone time. That's me though. You know, some people absolutely thrive off being social, and if that is what aligns for you, go for it. But I was sort of starting to realize that maybe it's not for me. I don't like feeling the next day after drinking. I don't like anxiety. Like it's not pleasant. And so I decided to start dialing it back. And I think you might remember in like February when I was back in Melbourne and I was vlogging, and I would say like, you know, I'm taking the car with me to dinner, because then that means I can only kind of have one drink and then I can drive home. So I still drink alcohol. I love my red wines in winter. I love my Gris and my Grigios in summer, and my Prosecco all year round. And I will have the occasional cocktail too, but I just stopped drinking, like going out and just being like another one, and continuing on with the evening. That I stopped. So the last time I was hungover was December, and I think that one really sort of knocked me a little bit, because I was like, this is horrible. I was so sick. I was like, why? Not one part of the previous night outweighs how awful I feel today being Sunday. And I think the previous time before that was September last year. So it had been a couple of months like between being that hungover, and I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. This isn't for me. And it's funny because like I watch, I've mentioned it last week that I watched a bit of Alex Earl on TikTok and everything, and she's 22 and she parties. And it's just so interesting. Like I like watching her and I'm like, you know what, you're 22, go for it, have all the fun in the world. But I can't imagine doing that now. It's just, yeah, it doesn't align with me, like that type of lifestyle. So I decided that I would, one, drink less, because look, alcohol's a depressant. You want to start feeling better, stop drinking alcohol. That is one of the biggest things that has changed my life in the last year. I feel fantastic. I just feel happier. I feel like I have more energy. And I do notice when I start to drink more like alcohol, even just a glass here and there, like the mood kind of goes down a little. It's been at this point right now, a month. I've been in Austin for a month, and it has been a month since I've had any alcohol, and I feel great. But yeah, so I'm not opposed to it. I still drink, I still like my cocktails or my wines and everything like that. It's just, I haven't gone over the top. I feel better for it, and I think on the social side and not so much the alcohol side, I realized that a year ago, like my only real hobby was going out, and I don't want to do that anymore. I think there's other activities that I can enjoy with friends and family that don't have to involve going to dinner and going to a bar. And that's something that I've wanted to start experimenting with, and it's great because a lot of my friends are the same, so we do other activities. In particular, in the last month, I have been nowhere. I have done nothing, and it is just, I just needed this month. My entire routine lately has been get up, go for a walk, come home, work all day, go for another walk, wind down, watch TV, go to bed, and then on the occasional day I will go to the supermarket and the post office and maybe to Sephora and Ulta because I'm working on this whole new makeup thing that I'm trying out. And that has been my entire life for the last month, and it has been the best thing that I've done because as of today, I have officially been in Austin for 1 month. I don't know if I just said that. It's just something I needed. I just needed this sort of little isolated alone time. I'm now ready to go back out into the world. I'm finally going to go downtown and explore Austin this week and go back out. I'm looking forward to going back to Toronto and being a bit more social, but I just needed this time. And this year, sort of taking a step back and making sure I spend good quality alone time and then possibly good quality friendship, family time that's of an activity of some sort, something that we can all enjoy that doesn't have to involve those things, which kind of leads me into the next point, because when you're not going out to bars and not going out to restaurants, you save a lot of money. Something that I started doing this year more so than last year. Last year I didn't really keep up with it, but last year I designed a budget planner, and I've just actually designed a new colorway. It's grayscale for all of my color hating people out there. It's just like black and white, and I really started keeping up with it this year. So I started tracking in January, and I've been tracking every month. And honestly, there's a lot of different sections to this planner, and that can kind of be overwhelming. And right now, I really just use the tracking section, mostly because I am still figuring out some financial stuff. I, was a tax resident of Canada. Now that I am not, I have the business, I have the personal. It's all just a little bit complicated. But for just my personal expenses, I just use the tracking section. And since January, I have been tracking my expenses. I was horrified at how much I was spending on eating out and also food delivery. And I haven't ordered food delivery since February. I started setting myself some goals, and yeah, since tracking my expenses, which I have always been afraid of my expenses. I have always just buried my head in the sand. I didn't want to know what I was making. I didn't want to know what I was spending because it's confronting. But I finally did it. I finally confronted it. It was not nice, and now it's actually so easy, and I love knowing what's coming in, what's going, and being on top of it. And so I've actually managed to save a couple of $1,000s this year so far already, and it feels great. I just feel more in control. I feel less stress knowing what's happening, and it all started by just using that simple little expense tracker in my planner, and now I'm starting to branch out into learning more about investments and savings and educating myself more on money. So that's something that I guess, as I said, goes hand in hand with the less social going out to restaurants and stuff, because yeah, it was really confronting seeing how much money I was spending on going out to restaurants and on food delivery, and then having all that money just go on that kind of thing which kind of leads me into the third habit that has changed. And this sort of changed about a year ago. That is obviously cooking for myself and feeding myself. And it's really interesting because obviously the habit that I had, the habit that was sort of ingrained into me was to pick up my phone and press the button and have food delivered to me. Because it's easy, right? And there is no denying that there is a difference in the amount of effort and labor required to press a button on a phone and to actually get up and make a meal. But this is where the brain is so powerful. After, essentially forcing myself to not order in and to cook for myself, which I cook very plain, simple meals. So, I mean, it's not particularly that hard in itself, but my brain now will tell me that getting up and making a meal is the same amount of effort as pressing a button on my phone. Like my brain can't differentiate now that there's a difference in effort, which is really weird. Like it feels no different to me. It doesn't feel like I'm taking more time and energy and effort to actually get up and cook. That's just like amazing that it's like that. And so with cooking for yourself, has two benefits. One benefit is it's obviously more cost effective and you will save money that way. The other benefit is obviously the health benefit. You know exactly what's going into your food. You are in control of your portion sizes and what you're eating and everything like that. And I know that sometimes food weight loss can be a bit of a touchy subject for some people, so I just want to put that warning out there. But someone did ask me as part of the Q&A questions last week if I had that I looked like I'd lost some weight. So I am just gonna say that last year I lost 14 pounds, which I can't remember how much is in kilos, maybe 6.5 kilos, 7 kilos or something like that. It's gone back up, so I'm probably sitting at about 11, 12 pounds less than where I was in the last week of December 2021. I decided to buy a little bathroom scale from Amazon and I weighed myself on Boxing Day actually, because none of my clothes were fitting. And I didn't want to go and purchase new clothes. I wanted to get my lifestyle in check. I had a very bad habit of overeating. Like you put food in front of me, I will finish it. I have to finish it. And then I wasn't being very active. I don't like exercising or anything like that. But the cooking for yourself allows you to keep on track of all of that. And so I really got into it last year. I was like, all right, no more ordering in. We're gonna start focusing on the cooking and feeding myself and going down that path. And it made a massive difference. And after a year of keeping myself with that kind of habit, like I said, it just feels so easy now and it's so simple. I mean, that's the problem with habits. And when you want to change anything, you have to be patient and persistent. It takes time for it to start to feel easy and start to come more naturally. But yeah, so that's another thing that I did last year, and I've really honed in on that one this year. Like I said, it's all sort of tied together. You'll notice that one thing runs into the next with all of these habits. So it goes from, being less social and less going out, into saving money, into cooking for yourself, which then affects your health. It's like a chain reaction, really, which then leads me into the fourth habit, which kind of still ties into that. I don't like exercising that much. It's not something I love to do, but last year, especially in the warmer months, it's so hard in the winter months, and I know that if you were in a cold climate right now, I understand how hard it is to do this, but when it's warm, I get up and I immediately put on gym clothing and I walk out the door. And I just go for a walk. Right now I'm walking about 45 minutes in the morning, and then in the evening I'll do 45 to an hour, and it's walking twice a day. And I have an Apple Watch, so it tracks everything, and I can set myself little goals and I can try and close my rings and everything. I do have my yoga mat as well, where I will stretch and do my yoga because I love that stuff as well. And in the pandemic I got really into trying to strengthen my body for handstands and things like that, and so I've picked that up a little bit. Yesterday I was out in the backyard practicing that kind of stuff, which I love. Other than that, I'm not big on the exercising, but at least that's my now habit of being some sort of active. In summer last year, I was walking for an hour in the morning and 2 hours at nighttime. I know that 3 hours a day is such a long time, but it was the routine I had last year. So between walking that much every day and, oh, my ears just started ringing. That's annoying. But the habit of walking that much every day and then also cooking for myself and just sort of staying on top of what food I was eating, that's how I was able to lose that weight and then fit back into my clothes. And so it's great. Now I have my whole wardrobe to be able to wear again, and I'm back to where it feels comfortable, and I'm just sort of maintaining and, you know, keeping on top of it. So that's another habit that has changed a lot in the last year or so. And then the last one, which I did say the last one was the best one, which this is entirely new. This is something I just started in January. I am still playing around with it, so I don't know really what to tell you about it, because I know a few people have asked me about it, but that is my life to-do list. I created a life to-do list in Notion in January. It was so ugly. In fact, last week, or about 2 weeks ago, I kind of revamped it and made it look a little bit better, but it's still not worthy of me sharing at this point because I'm still trying to figure out like the best system for this. But essentially, I broke down every single category of my life in January, and it was for everything, right? So I have like business, I have finance, I think I talked about this in one of my other videos, and then I put all the things on the screen in that video. But every category that was applicable to my life. And then I would take things out of each category and put them on a to-do list, and then I would start ticking them off. And I have cleared off so much from this life to-do list. I never forget anything. The second something pops up, it goes on that list. Don't even have to think about it again. It's just always there. And if there's something that's stressing me out and it's staring me down, I just do it and then it's gone. And it has helped me achieve more in the last 3.5 months than I had basically all of last year, I swear. It has just kept me on track and making sure that I don't forget anything, making sure that I am aware of all the different tasks. I'm not paying too much attention to one area of my life and then neglecting another area. I am really bad at focusing on, say, this one area and then forgetting about everything else. And then days or weeks will go by and I'll be like, oh my God, I was supposed to do that and I didn't do it, and I completely forget. So I am able to make sure that I am like doing a little bit from every single area, and it's just working. Like I said, I'm still playing around with it. It's only been 3.5 months, but actually technically I made the list at the end of January, so it's kind of only been 2.5 months, but it is changing my life. I didn't want to throw that term around too much, but it really is. It's just making me get through life just like smooth sailing. I am just gliding through, I'm getting everything done, I don't feel as stressed. And when I try and figure out some kind of really handy template or some kind of like way of displaying it all, I will share more about that. But right now it's literally just like a column with a heading and then a list, and then another column with a heading and a list. And that is how simple it is. You could make, in Notion, you could make 5 columns across if you wanted to. You can make 1, 2, whatever. I had 3 to start with. No, I still have 3. I had 3 and they were all different colors. This time I went in and made them all gray, like totally boring. But then I started grouping them together in sets of 3 that were related, and then down the line, like I said, still figuring that out, but just, yeah, taking like a life inventory of everything, putting it in one place for me to keep track of it. It's been one of the best things that I've done in years in terms of being organized and planning and staying on top of things. So those are the 5 habits that I have started to develop in last year, but really like got into in the last 3.5 months. I have so much to do, and there's always something to do, but it just doesn't feel as stressful or overwhelming as it once did. And that, I guess, is the goal. There's always going to be things to do in life. We're always going to have things we need to work on, but we want to be able to do it in a way that doesn't feel insanely stressful. And I think I'm getting there. Like, I think this system is starting to work, so I'm really excited about it. Anyway, I thought I would share those with you because I found them helpful, and maybe you might find them helpful too. If you have any habits or any ways of doing anything that you really want to share, please let me know, because I'm always open to hearing about how someone else does things, because like I just want to learn. Like, teach me your ways, because maybe something you do is able to help me, and I would love that. So please let me know. I think that's pretty much it. I managed to go through this entire video without drinking my coffee, and now I'm going to probably put it in the microwave and heat it up. And you know what? I might just edit this video right now, because why not? It's starting to turn into the most gloomy day. Anyway, I hope this was somewhat helpful. Like I said, let me know what you like to do, and I will see you very, very shortly.